I'm DaJuan Johnson, and I'm excited to introduce you to my Think Bigger Actor podcast, where I'm going to share with you different kinds of talks and coachings and conversations with actors and industry professionals on thinking bigger. I hope these conversations will help you on your path to success, because I believe success is an inside job that starts with your mindset and the thoughts you hold dominant in your mind. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Your path to thinking bigger begins now. Hey Sam, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so like just excited that you said yes to this podcast.
First, I said yes. I'm so happy to be here.
Did you like how I snuck in your DMs? I was like, because you were like saying something about people, and I was like, I am somebody. I do I do have an IMDb list. Would you come on?
You sent me a series of videos, which I really appreciated, because then I got to see you, and you did like send me your IMDb, or you said that I should look you up on IMDb, but I already knew you because I've seen you in the casting room before, so I know exactly who you are.
Yeah. I have to say, Pretty Little Liars, but I have to say, you talk a lot about Burn Notice, and even before we jump in like questions, I love Burn Notice. I loved it. I loved it. You know, it was shot in Miami. You know what I mean?
No, it was shot in Miami.
Was it really? I thought it was just said to be.
It wasn't Bunny Rabbit or shot in Miami. It was shot in Miami.
I was like, oh, because you know how like CSI Miami was shot like in Redondo or something.
No, it was actually shot in Miami.
Okay.
So yes, that's.
I didn't know that. I thought it was fake. I thought it was, but anyway, I loved it so much because also one of my acting teachers way back when was on it, and I loved her so much, Lawrence Demile.
Oh,
And
she did a recurring for us, like a Lawrence recurring. Yeah.
Yes. And I
there
was thinking
a lot of like getting her on the show for that big role. Yeah.
She came back because she would talk to us about it. And I was like, Burn Notice, it's in, I actually did know it was in Miami. I actually did, now that I'm saying it out loud, because my mom is from Miami. And I remember sending an email to my people saying I could be a local hire.
Local hire in Miami. Yeah. We had Lori Wyman down there doing the casting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we at the same time, we had two simultaneous shows shooting in Miami. We had Graceland, which was Miami for Malibu. And then we had Burn Notice, which was Miami for Miami.
Okay, so people listening, you don't think I'm crazy. Did you just hear her say it was Graceland for Malibu instead of shooting Malibu in Malibu? It's probably cheaper that way.
What happened was we lost the lottery. So there's lotteries for shows. I don't know if everyone knows this.
No.
So when you want to shoot a show in LA, they literally put it in a lottery. So we shot the pilot in Malibu for Graceland at this like huge, beautiful mansion. Mm-hmm. And then the show was put in the lottery, and then we lost the lottery, and everyone was so pissed because we then had to do Miami's beautiful. I went to school in Miami. I fucking love Miami, but you can't shoot Miami for Malibu. It doesn't Malibu. Miami is such a specific look. So they lost the lottery, and then they had to do Miami for Malibu.
That's funny because we shot Puerto Rico for Miami, by the way.
Ooh, which is a little bit better, right?
A little bit better. It was. I was shocked. I was shocked. I was like, because Miami is so specific. I was like, but
it's such a specific flavor. And now there aren't as many shows shooting in Miami. I don't know what happened to like the tax rights or whatever, but there's very few shows shooting there now.
Yeah, there are. I think Charlie's Angels was shooting down there as well.
Yeah, but that was a while ago. Huh?
That was a while ago. Yeah, but I mean, like, I remember that being there, but I don't think there's anything that I remember just passing through there right now. But you came back into my world view, right? People like come in and out of, everybody's orbit. I always think of things in this acting world as the solar system of acting, I call it, because things kind of like you just go in an orbit and then you'll come back around and you won't see that person for a while and then they'll pop back up. And so you pop back up. Sam, are you still looking at your view?
No, why do I look like I'm looking straight?
No. I'm like, I just really wanted to.
No, I have freak eyes. Like there's two really interesting things about my eyes. One is I have freak pupils. So I went to the eye doctor once because I like had weird vision. He's like, no, you just have freak pupils. They're like bigger than they should be. Oh. And two, my eyes are just really big and I like can't ever decide where to look. So no, I'm actually looking at you.
Okay. I love that response. But I was saying you came into my view again because of Instagram. right? And Instagram. And I was just really kind of like, who is this person debunking every myth? Who's like going in and like you would chop off a video and you would come in and you're like one video, you're like laughing at yourself. You're like, my husband says I should stop trolling people. Like, I don't remember what video it was, but do you remember that?
Yes, it was this guy who I think is an Atlanta actor who had posted, I literally just watched it the other day again, for some reason. He had said, do you need to have like a reel and a resume to be an actor?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, no. And I was like, yes, you definitely do need to have a reel and a resume to be an actor, because otherwise how does casting know that you can act? And then my husband was like, you have to stop this. It's like, never stopping.
So tell me about this. What's up? Because I feel like you have, if there was an S on your shirt, it wouldn't say Sam. It would be for like, super person, because you're like, you're coming to the aid of actors here. So what's up with that?
I'm glad you feel that way, because part of me feels like I might come across as a bully, and I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
But what happened was, beginning of the pandemic, I don't remember the exact order, but TikTok came to me and they said, do you want to make some educational videos? And I was like, sure. Well, at first I said no. And then
Wait, like the TikTok came to you? Like, or are you just playing around? Like,
no, the TikTok.
I've never heard that. You're like, no, TikTok.
The TikTok came to me. They were like doing some sort of thing where they wanted more educational videos on their platform.
Okay.
And at first I was going to say no. And then I work with a ton of content creators. I like sort of specialize in bringing non-actors into acting. So like the large agencies will send me their people, and I work with content creators and singers and all those kinds of people, and I help them become actors. And one of my content creators, his name is Tristan Tales, and he was like, Sam, you need to do this. Like, you need to be in front of the camera and do this. And I felt really weird about it, but I ended up doing it. And so at first I was just making like basic educational videos, like, you have to have a want, like all that kind of stuff. And then I fell down a TikTok hole where I was like watching videos, and I realized there were a lot of people on the platform who were posting a ton of misinformation. And it was shocking to me. And I felt like, look, if there's a benefit to having all this information out there. Like, we didn't have that when we were first starting out. There was not a lot of information. There was like Samuel French and nothing else, right? So there's that benefit, but then there's also the sort of downside of having all this information and not knowing what's right and what's wrong. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to say something about this. And then there was just this endless wealth of misinformation. So I just started duetting it, saying like, if anybody cares, this is wrong, this is right. And people, I guess, cared. But my problem with it really is not appearing like a bully. Like, I do feel like there's a side of that where if I'm saying something about someone, they're going to say, wait, shut the fuck up. And there have been some people who have like duetted me back. There's a guy who has like my face on his page 1 million times over saying like, this woman sucks, she's dangerous to actors. Like, there are people who really don't like it. And I understand that, because it hurts to have someone say something negative about you.
I don't think bully is such I always want to be careful with that word, right? Because I think when I hear that and it's attached to someone, like we can't just throw it around lightly, right? Yeah, I don't want to throw it around lightly. And I think, if in the sense that your videos are, I think now maybe you've taken a note or you've done something, they're lighter. Like your last one was just amazing, where they're like how to stand out, and you're like, and you just you're like, take their dog, run away. And I was just like, what are you doing? This is so great, because I don't believe in that anymore, right? When actors, what I try to tell my actors, anybody I'm working with, is if you are asking yourself how to stand out, you're already lost. You've already lost, because, or what do you do in the first 10 seconds to make casting directors watch? Right. And I was like, I got it. I have your answer. It's about the work.
Right. Well, look, especially for new actors, there's a lot of workshops and classes that prey on new actors with specifically that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Get these headshots specifically, do this to stand out. And I don't blame those classes. Mm-hmm. I think everyone has to make a living. I think actors are desperate for that kind of information. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that exists in this city. The like, know your type, get these headshots, brand yourself. That stuff exists everywhere. So actors are sort of dealing with a lot of that. You know, they're taking these classes, they're hearing all that stuff left and right. They're taking these workshops. So they really want the answer. So we're dealing with misinformation. We're dealing with those classes. We're dealing with all the on-camera classes and the fact that there is no answer. There really isn't.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is absolutely accurate, but then we have actors who really, really want answers.
Right, because it's not enough.
Side, which is for every workshop you take with reputable people, with every casting director, you're going to hear 10 different things in 10 different workshops. So actors have to know that too, right? Like if you listen to, you know, Linda Lowy and Junie Lowry Johnson and Gail Pillsbury and me, you're going to hear 4 different things. It's not that it's misinformation, it's that it's office specific. So that's difficult too.
Well, I'm going to just like change the wording on that, if you don't mind. I don't know that it's difficult. I think what we actors need to understand is how to sift through, right? And how to figure out like, this person's, how can I really get my own perspective on this, right? Really bring that, Gail said this about this. Oh, I love the essence of that note. Junie said that. Great, Linda. Now, what do I think about it, right? I think, you know, what we try to do is please everyone. And again, that's where it all falls apart in my world, like in my mind, you know?
And ultimately what actors need to do is please themselves, right? If you're going in, the only person you should be exciting is yourself because, and I say this all the time, so this is just bullshit at this point, but every actor gets the same side script and breakdown. So everyone with a brain is going to make approximately the same choices. So ultimately you're doing things that excite you. And if you do that, then casting's going to be excited.
You know, it took me a very long time, a very, very, very long time to understand. I think I don't know if you saw my reel, but it's really funny.
I'll watch it.
I will. I just, you know, but I what I try to say is, yes, we all have the same sides. You know, so we all have that. But what we miss and what we stop doing now is trusting ourselves.
Right.
What we do is go back and we want to be technically proficient because we think that's what they want. Or instead of like, what's your first intuition about these sides? Like, what do you believe about this stuff? And it always goes back to anybody I work with is like, you know, what does Sam want? How is she going to book me? And I think that's out of the pocket. So, you know, a little bit for that. So,
and what actors tend to do is they tend to have these great immediate instincts and then they spend the next hour getting rid of them. And I always tell my clients, my job isn't to tell you what to do. It's to help you trust your instincts, to find your way into the scene, because I'm not an actor. I don't have these instincts. You do.
We are so much alike. I call it an intuitive hit. Right? When you have your intuitive hits, stop at the end of your first reading and write down that stuff down, write it down. Because what happens is now all of a sudden we go back and we're like, ooh, I know it says cry there. There's a period there. And like, now we have to get there. And I was like, but what if you don't? And people, I think what you said was so right. In the beginning, newer actors are like, I just want to get this right. But I worked for a bit and you know, the people are like, no, just make it your own. Whatever you need on set. Like, you know, Pierce, you've been with him for 5-6 years now. Like, and it doesn't matter anymore for that. So, I love what you're doing. I think it's great. I hope there is no, you know, voodoo dolls out there.
I would 100% believe there are voodoo dolls out there. I'm sure there are, but I know for a fact, well, I don't care what people think about me, first of all.
Good.
I really don't give a shit. But also, if someone doesn't like me or someone feels differently from me, that's totally fine. That's their opinion. And, you know, we just have to keep on giving out the information that we feel is valid.
You know, and that we're coming from a good place. I always try to like, remember, I have values in my business. Like, is this in integrity? Right. And if it's not in integrity, then I won't do it. Or am I pushing community? So I always try to do that. But I also understand that there are also, Sam, and this is not where I wanted to go with this conversation, but there are a lot of people out there that try to villainize us people for charging any money to any actors. And for me, that is a whole different thing where I don't think we should price gouge anybody, but I also think, you know, asking someone to pay for a coaching or for their services, you know, should not be villainized. I don't know if you have any thought on that at all.
Oh, I have a lot of thought on it.
You guys have to watch this on YouTube. Her face was like, actually, let's pull up a chair.
You have to watch watch on YouTube, number one, to see my freak pupils. And then number two, to see.
I love it. Love it.
Look, I will say I am on the higher end of coaches in terms of price. So I will start by saying that I don't think I am the coach for everyone. I know I'm not, because I'm a referral only coach. So I can't coach everybody. But I think that when you assign a price to your business, you also are setting your value. So I think that a lot of people would say that I am too expensive. And to them, I would say I'm not the coach for you. Private coaching is a luxury. And I have clients who they don't feel the money at all. And I have one client who works at a gas station overnight so that he can coach. So I think that when you're looking for a coach, it's like looking for a therapist, right? You have to find the person that's the right fit for you. And yes, people are going to say that it's too expensive. And when they say that, I am definitely not the person for them.
I'm so intrigued. We're not going to, can you hang around afterwards so I can hear these prices?
100%. Yes. I don't list them online. You have to
don't.
Call, but yes, 100%. And it's my value and my worth.
Yeah, it's interesting. I work with my own private life coach. I needed somebody to be me, somebody who I am to people. I wanted somebody to be me.
Yeah, for sure.
We were talking and I asked him, I was like, how did you know that I would be okay to work with you? He's like, one of the things is we talked first, but the second thing was when I told you the price, what I worked with, you weren't like him and hawing. You're like, great, let's move on. It was like,
yeah,
that makes sense.
100%. And I don't do discounts either when people ask me back, like, hey, can we negotiate a discount, or do you do group rates or whatever? Like, if I buy a package of 4, my answer is like, no, that's not fair to my other clients. I just don't negotiate with that. But there are people who will, and there's someone out there for everybody.
Sam said, I am not Walmart. The price is the price.
By the way, Walmart is amazing. We're no shade to Walmart.
That wasn't shade to Walmart. That was like price cuts. I was like, oh my gosh. No, you know how they have like a smiley face price cut.
After you.
Okay. Well, we don't know. We don't know, right? And all that stuff. You talk a lot about, I've seen online about things not being in concrete, right? In stone, meaning, let me elaborate on that. When people say, don't do this and you'll book, or don't wear this hat, or make sure you have a gray wall and things like that. And I think I had that first realization from acting class when they said, don't turn your back to the camera when you're self-taping. And I turned my back and I had a prop and I was like, I was just living the life of the character and I booked. And I was like, well, I don't know if all of this is what they're telling people is right. Maybe it should be like, live the life of the character. What's your theory behind all of that? Like, must do one. Guys, I'm telling you, the faces she makes on this is going to be so fantastic for YouTube.
Let's tell a really long story, and then I'm not going to.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I'm going to tell a long story that's not even related to casting.
Okay, great.
I'll tell you afterwards. Let me just write myself a note. It was about the way I express myself and my jokes. It's not worth it. Anyway, sorry to everybody. You guys can DM me and I'll type it and copy and paste it. I have such mixed emotions about this. So I believe there are no rules, right? I believe that you're going to book the job if you're meant to book the job. So that's kind of partly, I want to shift my view again. Sorry.
Yeah, I love it. See?
I know it's really difficult for me. There's no rules because one person will do something and they will get the job, and then someone will do the complete opposite, and it's office specific. So I think I told this story on one of my reels or something, where one of my favorite auditions ever, the actor came in, he looked out the window, he turned his back to us, he took up all this time and space. We were having so much trouble finding this role. This actor did everything you are told not to do, right? But then we were having trouble finding this one role, and this actor came in. We were all obsessed with her. She smoked a fake cigarette. She had a prop. We loved her. We all fought for her. The producers loved her. We loved her. The studio saw the audition and they were like, absolutely not. Props are so fucking amateur. We can't hire this actor. So you will find that different people have different rules, which is why I think there's no concrete rules.
Yeah.
So if I say there's no rules, someone else is going to say absolutely never, 100% this, that, and the other. So that's why I say there's none, because it changes all the time. So that's why actors have to go with their guts and know, or with their gut and know that sometimes they're going to run into someone who has a concrete rule. You just have to go with what you think is right.
Yeah. And I think what I'm also hearing, if you meet that person that has a concrete rule, doesn't mean that everything you have inside should fall apart. It just means like, oh, cool. I understand that Junie wants something different, right? It's just, you shouldn't like go into a puddle and be like, what does it mean?
What have I done? I'm never going to work again. That also goes along with, like, I hear a lot on the internet about being blacklisted. Casting directors going to blacklist you because you did this, that, and the other. The only way you're getting blacklisted by casting is if you do something so horrendous. Like the guy who sprayed blood on me, like that was the one person. I have a bunch of stories like that. But if you just have a bad day or you use a prop, like that's not getting you blacklisted, which is, again, goes to the rules. Like they don't exist.
Yeah. I don't know this to be true. So nobody hold this to me about blacklisting. I often thought that the actor that came onto our set at the end of Bosch, when we were all in COVID and we were being tested like 6 times a week, and everybody ended up contracting, and everybody got COVID on the set for those 2 weeks. They had to shut down, that's not anybody's problem. It's a virus. That's all good. But on their Instagram, they were at a party for Halloween.
I think that's a bad thing, but that's being a bad person, right?
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff you get blacklisted for. You post something racist or homophobic. Right. Be a good person. Be a good person. Don't get blacklisted for a bad audition, and that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So listen, I'm curious about it. If everybody doesn't know Sam's background, you were also a conservatory trained actor. Hi, hello.
Wait, I always do this wrong. My husband laughs at me. I always do the wrong one. What is it? Is it this?
It should go like this. Yeah.
You guys have to
what does this mean? What does this mean?
I don't know. I always do the wrong gesture.
Well, so for right now, I think we're going to say that means like you're just doing something it's perfect.
That's why you have to watch this on YouTube. Everything is happening visually today.
Yeah. Well, also, that's something that's unique to you, right? And if we were watching a tape like that, we'd just be like, why did she do that? And that's just your thing. That is yours. And this is a prime example, if you don't mind me saying, things that I could never do, right? I would never, I might do something like this, but you would just do this. And it's amazing. These are the things that get booked because only you have it in your world, right? It's not in my world to do it. Now I can steal it and I might do it.
Sure, I'm not going to do anything for you though. It's ridiculous. But it's the things that they try to beat out of you in acting class, your isms, right? Like you get rid of your Sam-isms. And then when we're watching those kinds of auditions, we're like, oh my God, that's so amazing. So those are the isms. We want those things.
Yeah. I think it's just going to make sure at minute 40, I come back and steal that. But no, like I was saying, conservatory trained actor. And I guess what in you decided you're doing casting. I understand casting and I've read your bio. How did you get to training or wanting to coach actors? Was that just because there's some casting directors who are doing as great as you are, and they're just doing that. They're not, deciding they want to also do that. Is that you understand that question?
Kind of.
What made you go to want to work with actors this way?
Yeah. So first of all, I was casting shows that I really loved, but I wasn't casting, and I'm going to say this and it's going to sound shitty, but I wasn't doing Mayor of Easttown, right? Like I was casting network pilots a lot of the time. And that is a grind. Like network pilots are an absolute grind. And there's a lot of studio and network involvement and a lot of people kind of going after each other. The producers are fighting the network is fighting the studio. And you're kind of playing intermediary when you're doing that. And I missed being with actors. I missed the casting part of it. There's a lot of interference. And my favorite part was working with actors. And I sort of missed that. And I wanted to do that more directly. That was my favorite part, is just being with actors. Yeah. And I wanted that job. I just wanted to work with actors. And so
that's what I meant. That's all I meant. It's just like, how did you get there? Because a lot of acting, how do I say this so I don't sound shitty? A lot of casting directors, I believe, have amazing casting tips, and some of them have also come from acting, but they're not also acting coaches. Right.
And so a lot that are. I mean, there's a lot of casting directors that do coaching, which is great. It's such an interesting point of view. They can pull back the curtain, show you the wizard. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely someone to talk to. But I just love actors. Like I hope that comes across in like my videos and what I do. Like I love actors. I think they're
Maybe you should do a video like that. Just do a video that just says, I love actors. Do
I
you
just
think it
did.
would
Cut it out. But I do. I think you guys are so brave and wonderful and creative, and you just put your hearts and souls on the line with everything you do. And I've said this before, but the best part of casting is being in the room when something magical happens. Like, you see people do the same sides and script all the time, and then someone comes in and does something that is just fucking spectacular. And what you guys don't realize, or you realize obviously, but a lot of new actors don't realize is casting directors don't go to casting school. It doesn't exist. So actors can do the same thing that casting directors do, which is sort of feel when something is really cool. When we're watching something that's good, like just good, you're watching like a network pilot or whatever. I'm kind of shitting on network pilots today. I actually like them. But when something's good, right? You're watching CSI or whatever, you kind of sit back and you're on your phone. You're like, that's good, whatever. When something is amazing or you have to be a part of it, you lean in, but just physically, you get closer to it. And that's what you find in casting is you just sort of start getting closer and closer. And so that's what I do when I'm coaching. When I find myself getting closer to my clients, I'm like, that's it. Like we're there. And you guys as actors, you have that recognition too. And it feels different for everybody. I always ask my clients what it feels like. Some of my clients black out and some get all buzzy and like whatever it is, you have that ability to recognize it. And when you're watching TV and film, you can see it too. So you guys have to start using those instincts to know, oh, I know what this is. I can feel this moment and start playing casting director.
Yeah. A lot I heard there. Number one, before I get to the good stuff, is that pilots, I know this, but I don't think everybody knows this, are also a grind for everybody. We go into it, actors thinking like it's just us, and it's all in our head, but there's other people who are network, studio, directors list, other people. It's so many different lists that are coming in your world.
I can't tell you how many nights we sat like on the floor of Warner Brothers, like just losing our minds, hysterically laughing. There was one pilot season where I have a picture of everyone involved in our pilot lying on the floor, just losing their mind, just individually, everyone in a different period in the pilot just fell apart and laid on the floor of Warner Brothers. Like everybody loses their mind during pilot season.
It's a very interesting thing. And I remember I was ready to move back to Kentucky. I don't live in Kentucky, but Florida. Back in Florida, I always say during one of I was going to move back into Florida. I just say Kentucky because it's always, I love saying the word Kentucky. If everybody wants to know that, it sounds better than saying the word Florida. So I say Kentucky.
You just lied?
No, I didn't lie. I just like saying Kentucky. I do. It's such a fun word for some reason. But I always say when I was going to move back because I was really, one of my friends worked in casting. He told me I was on this list and he's like, you're coming over, go put your tape over. They're getting casting, sent my tape. And I was so excited about this pilot. And then weeks went by and I didn't hear anything. I was like, what the hell happened? And I was like, I just wrote finally. And he was like, the rope was cut. He was like, welcome to our pilot world. Like, it's like that. It's so interesting. So I did hear all that. You're not poo-pooing on pilots, but pilots are crazy for everybody. Want to make sure we say that.
And I think the thing that actors need to take away is, or the really important thing for actors to recognize, and I get this a lot on my Instagram page, like I do not want everyone to agree with me. I really like people when they push back at me. I think it's important. But the thing that I do want actors to recognize is that you don't get a massive chip on your shoulder with things like this. Like, and that tends to happen to actors. Like, they don't recognize what goes on behind the scenes. And it becomes well, fuck casting. And like, I'm working so hard. I'm going out for 5 pilots this week. Like, what are you doing? Like, I think that's a really important thing for actors to recognize when they're starting to feel that sort of resentment, that you take a step back and maybe do take a break from the industry, because
move to Kentucky,
pretend you're from Kentucky, just have that moment where it's like, I'm going back home to Wichita, even though I'm from, La Jolla, and, have that moment, because everyone goes through ebbs and flows. It starts with all process, all acting class, then it goes to all industry, and then back to all process. And you have to rediscover your love for acting because the industry is too much.
I think that happened for me when I really recently, as we were talking a little bit earlier, is when I came off of a show. And when you are on a show, a funny thing happens. You understand the inner workings, the grind of it. You get it. And so you're like, I understand that I could be on another show, right? Like, just tell me I can see, let me see these sides. I can boop, 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 do this stuff. But I got into that place where I was like, why am I not booking? Why am I not testing and all that stuff like that? Well, because I had forgotten all the fun.
Totally.
I'd gotten out of the character, really the work, because I just understood intellectually, and it became that like feeling that you're saying. So I had to back out. You just have to back out and just do some other things. Again, not where I wanted to go, but I'll tell you this. I remember I know I love it. It's not where so I don't have to go anywhere, right? I just, I have some, there is a question I do want to ask about the third element, but other than that, I did everything else is free, but I really, Sam made me forget it. No, it's not. I'm back. I really wanted to say that I remember being on your Instagram page and somebody was saying something about like, I can't eat these wins that you are saying. They're wins, like getting back into a casting director's office. I say they're wins too, right? When I haven't booked with Junie Laurie in a long time, but she still called me back for 3 auditions. I understand what's happening here, right? And we can get upset about it and understand that, yes, that doesn't put food on my table, but we understand that is a win. Right. So we have to be able to, in my mind, quantify this stuff, right? We have quantify what is qualifiable. That just really got kind of.
No, I had posted a story about a show I had done where this guy had come in to read 100 times. He was an actor. He is an actor who I love and could rely on to make amazing choices. Every audition he did was just fucking spectacular. And so I brought him in a million times. The producers wanted me to bring him in. And at the end, one of the executive producers said to me, like, if I could recast the show, I would cast him as the lead. And he never gave him a guest star. And so what you're saying is this woman had commented and was like, that doesn't put food on my table. Like, I get that point of view, but also like, what a win to have this EP love you and will most likely put you on every show, or hopefully, who knows, but like he didn't put him on the series, but like that is a win in my book. But also I'm not an actor. I don't have to do the hustle you guys do. So yeah.
Yeah. I tell a very, this story all the time that I auditioned for an NCIS 32 times. Like 32 times. I was pinned for them for several, top of shows, and like it just kept going up and down, up and doing. And I booked it the 33rd time. And everybody's like, well, why do you keep going in there? Why don't they just ask them to offer it? I was like, these people are trying hard to find you.
Yeah.
Right. And like for whatever reason, it wasn't clicking. I almost clicked, it didn't. And so I see that as a win. And I understand when we stop thinking about this as a 6-year career and start thinking about it like a 60-year career, then we understand that those relationships, they matter. It matters. These long wins matter on them.
They do.
For that.
Yeah. So you were asking me that you said I went to a conservatory and then we got off on like a crazy long tangent.
I don't know that you really went to a conservatory in Kentucky. That there might have been. I want to ask, a couple of really quick questions to you about you talk about what makes an actor stand out. I purposely did not want to get into these not basic questions, but I wanted to get to the underneath stuff of like you say on your website, I know what makes an actor stand out. Like we can't bottle it down to wearing a red shirt. You know what I mean? Or wearing a blue shirt.
That was the video I saw. Like one of the videos I saw on TikTok was like wearing blue books 87% of the time. And that made me cackle.
That can't be real. That's not a real video, is it?
It was a real video. I do edit it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No way.
87% of the time. I was like, come on, guys.
Yeah. So what makes them stand out to you in the sense, I mean, I don't want you to give your je ne sais quoi away, but like, what can we walk away with thinking about?
Messiness. Like,
I love that.
Messiness makes actors stand out. You see these perfect, tightly held auditions where the actors get everything right. right? They memorize the script, which is no bonus points there. Everybody memorizes, right? And like, that's what new actors worry about, memorization, you know? They've researched everything, you know, they know the tone, like they've done everything right, but there's no humanity in it. They've like scrubbed it clean of human experience, and humans are messy. Like we are just like, look at this pot, look at what we've been talking about and what a fucking mess we are today. Like you can't get
I think we're pretty great.
We're great, but you can't get back to your questions for the life of you. Like, you know, we are messy and real and raw. And so when we see that, we just lean in and we want to be a part of it. We watch film and TV because we are voyeuristic at heart. That's what we are. We want to be in the room when shit happens. It's what we want, right? So your job as an actor is to let us into that room. And so what newer actors or actors who are so tightly wound do is they push us out. And so you guys have to let us in. And when actors do that, then we're like, oh, okay, this is exciting. Also, when actors fuck up, you guys punish yourselves. And on the casting side of things, it's like, oh, something's finally happening here. Like, what's going on? Because you're seeing the same audition over and over again. And sometimes those mess ups are the most exciting things that happen.
Yeah, I used to say that to my peeps, that casting, and I try not to say, like, I can't speak for all casting, but I believe casting doesn't mind that you mess up in an audition. Casting minds that you mind.
Right, of course. We see it, right? So we see you guys float outside your bodies and start to judge yourselves and never come back down. If you stay present, then it's really exciting to watch how you come back.
Yeah. And I wonder if there was a way to skip the line, because a lot of that confidence came to me, again, by working so much, right? And you see it, and if I mess up and I'm just like searching for a line and I get it and come back in and we keep moving, like they didn't know that, right? It's kind of gold a little bit on that. I hear that. I don't
know if there's a way to skip the line. I'm not an actor, and that's part of I started as one, but I never.
Well, it says here that you're a conservatory trained actor. What is it?
Conservatory trained actor, but that's the extent of my acting. Like I never worked as an actor, so I don't know what it's like to do the audition grind. Like I don't know any of that.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about this third element? Okay, good.
So that part, I mean, it's one of the few things. So when I post things on the internet, it's very basic stuff that I'm totally fine with giving out. The reason people coach with me is because they're paying me to like help them with their process and figure them out. And it's all super personal, and like I get to know them. And that's just one of the things that I just don't share.
I love it. Yeah.
So no, I won't.
Look at that. Everybody, look it up. Sam and I are having our first fight. All right, Sam.
I'm pissed. No, my clients will tell you what it is, maybe, but no.
I don't think I just, again, I got to do a little digging on you before you come on. And
trademarked too. Just
is it?
Yeah. I really help the process. Like what I do for actors is I help them create an individual and unique process by getting to know them, and every actor works differently. That's just one thing I offer them that is a little bit.
Don't worry, everybody. I'm going to go coach with her, and I will come back and I will do that.
By the way, I coach a lot of coaches. Like I have a lot of coaches that work with me, and like I help them sort of become better coaches, I hope. And then steal it and then share it. Totally.
No, I don't believe in stealing like that. But what I will say to everybody listening out there and might be looking at me, that I've coached and I talk about stuff and I work on stuff, one of the most detrimental things I did to my career was stop believing that I needed to be in a class or be coached for a bit. It was one of the things that I'm being very honest, everybody looked at it. You're on a show. You don't need to do that. And actors on the show are like, don't act, don't be in a class. But what happens on a show is very interesting. You stop playing.
There you go.
I knew my job. I knew that I was going in. I was going to solve a murder. There's going to be some stuff. We're going to do a close-up. We're going to do a meeting. We're going to do all that stuff. I knew my job, but I stopped playing, number one. And number two, I stopped getting directed. Guest directors were not coming in to tell Pierce, who's been on there for 7 years, they're just like, all right, what do you think, Pierce? We're going to go here or wherever tight. They're not really directing us. So I didn't have this to go to you. So it is a misinformation, maybe, to think that people have arrived and they shouldn't be still exploring their instrument, I think. about
But
that.
every single client I have disappears on me after the third episode. Like this is
Wow.
not, no one stays on. I just saw a client of mine. She was gone for 5 seasons. I would see her for like movie auditions. But everyone, like, who's going to keep coaching? Because it's like a comfortable outfit. Like you're so stuck in your character, and then they come back. And then they have to go back and audition. A lot of people are getting offers after that, but like they have to go back and audition.
Why are you looking at me? Why are you looking at me? You know I have
higher time
offers. I did not get.
But some of them are getting offers, and some are not getting offers. And then they realize, oh shit, I haven't been putting in the work. I've just been skating by in this character. Every single person. I don't know a single person who's a series regular on the show after one season who is putting in the work. I don't even think I should say that they should be. Like, it's just, it's their.
Well, I meant in the downtime also. When I was on the show, I didn't have enough time. But then there was times when we weren't shooting, like we're waiting for the next season, that I could have been back playing a little bit more, I think.
But I don't know anyone who does.
Who doesn't? Okay. All right.
You don't. And
I'm normal.
My same clients they're on shows and they're in for other things.
Yeah.
And we never, I can speak to one client who does. I have one client who's on a series who comes in to work on certain episodes.
Okay. Great. I have 2 more fun questions.
All right.
The first one is this one is self-tapes. I do what my goal is to help actors book off self-tapes. That's what I have really taking up that mantle, because I think it's important. I think we are getting in our heads about these. I think say, well, yeah, how could you not? But I also think if we can here's how you cannot. Here's what I think. I think we romanticized the room. No offense, but I'm like, I felt like the way actors talk about it, like when I got in that room, they were like, DaJuan.
Magic.
And everybody, and I'm not saying anything bad about casting, but like, it just was like, sometimes they had jobs, like, and we need to go, and phones would ring and things would happen. For me, I understand. And I never got this, and I started to see a lot of awesome people that was like, hey, DaJuan again. And we would do it. I'm like, that's great. Try it this way and then move on. But that was it. And I didn't book it. But with self-tapes, for me, I feel like they're like awesome. I'm showing you a work session. I'm showing you something that's a little bit more polished. And I kind of like that. But you say, how can you not? What are you thinking about self-tapes?
I just think everyone's sending these self-tapes out into the void with no response. So everyone's just stuck in this like mind. They're like trapped in their head. They're getting zero feedback. So the reason why the room is romanticized is because you were getting some positive feedback, like energy. You saw a human, you could put a button on your audition. Like, I went in, I talked to casting, they smiled at me. At least I got human interaction. I felt like I was done with the audition. Pushing send doesn't do that for you. And so it's just self-tape after self-tape after self-tape with no feedback. And little do you know that casting is actually watching them, and they're talking to someone about it. And they're like, they are interacting. You're just not involved in that process. On the flip side of that, our office, and I don't know if you remember this, we were overly positive about everybody. Like, when people came into our office, we'd be like, oh my God, you were amazing. Like, that was just our way. Like, we loved everybody. That was our favorite part of the day. We wanted everyone to feel good. And I don't know if that's necessarily good for actors, because everybody probably left thinking like, oh my God, Sam loved me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that does anything. I don't know. I have no idea. But
well, there's one thing you wrote. One thing you wrote, and I read was like about hearing a lot of no's, and we need to get away from that. This is when I imagine in the room, and you were saying something to the effect of, you're not going to hear a lot of no's. You're not going to hear anything. And so I feel like that carries over to self-tapes as well. It's like, do your most amazing job out there and kind of leave it and go and let go, as you put. You don't think that still applies to this?
I think it does. Like, but I think it's harder to do with a self-tape. I really do. I think all actors need to focus on right now is being disruptive. Like, just
what does that mean?
Disruptive. So again, if casting is seeing now triple the amount of auditions they would have seen, your job is to disrupt the session. Like, be the person. So I'm sure I've said this before, but when we would have like a pilot and we would see 100 people, and I would see the producers be like, we're not seeing it. We need to see more people. I would always ask them, okay, like, what are you not seeing? And they would say, I don't know. We just need to see more people. At that point, we would bring in someone different. To like disrupt them. Maybe not right, maybe not ultimately someone who'd get the job, but someone who would just shake them up a little bit. Yeah. And I think that is the actor's job in the casting session, just to shake casting up or shake the producers up, to just get them out of their heads. Yeah. And even though you're the same type as everyone else, I mean, like, they're seeing 100 people who look just like you, your performance has to be disruptive. You have to find something within that performance that shakes everybody up. And if you do that, I swear you're going to feel like you're out of your self-tape grind.
Yeah. And I guess I just want to piggyback on that and just say to all actors listening to this, this does not mean do anything arbitrarily in the tape, meaning, but like, you don't want to like do it as a comedy and it's a drama. Maybe you do though.
No,
maybe you, sure. But I always think we got to be clear about that, because then you have the newer actors who are trying to recreate Dacre Montgomery's Stranger Things self-tape.
Right. Well, but that goes to like, when people say like make cool choices.
Oh, you hate this.
It's within the molecular structure of the scene. Yes. So the writers give you the black and white facts of the scene. So if you're doing an ABC procedural and it's between, DaJuan and Sam, and they are doing a podcast, we're not going to make them brother sister on a multicam. Like, you have to honor, and I'm not someone who's like honor every period, honor every stage direction. I don't give a shit about that. But you do have to honor the molecular structure. Great. Within that, make whatever choice you want. I don't care. No one will ever know your choices. And you can speak to this because on set, nobody ever asks you your choices. They're not
nobody ever asked me my secret.
Take into that. Yeah. Right. Nobody asks you, right?
I've had good secrets every season when I would come.
And by the way, like, I'm so glad you said that. Actors, I don't know who to speak to. How do I look in the camera? There is, other than like the fucking Third Element or whatever, like almost every acting school works on the same structure. Like, you can go to any acting school in the world. It's not proprietary. So, and when you're putting together your process, like, go to whatever coach you want. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel here. You just have to find someone you like. Like, truly. Like, we are not coming up with that much shit. We're just getting to know you and figuring out who you are and working with you. Yeah.
Speaking of coming up with new stuff, I want to take this time to just confront you about something. There was a time that I came into your office. You said I did a great job and I didn't book the role. And so I put this in the chat of our thing. This is from the role of detective on Pretty Little Liars. And you are going to play, it says Pam there. You see your line.
I hold on, my mouse isn't working. Hold on. Okay.
This is your line. You see it up there? It says Pam. I'm going to read detective, and I think we should just have a redo.
Yeah, I love it. Wait, let me just make sure I got all of this. So is my whole line?
Sure.
Just sure.
You start with sure. Emily give me just a second to detective. What's the case numbers? And that's
I have that whole second part.
Yes.
Okay. So you just have that one first part.
Well, I have another line that's like W468, not 0.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Okay. So I just want to say it again so I can have a redo 10 years. This was back in May 7th, 2013.
That's my sister's birthday. Hey, can I ask a couple questions before we do this?
Yeah.
Okay. How was I? Was I nice? Was I friendly? Was I overly effusive like I normally am? Like, did you feel like you crushed it?
I felt like I crushed it, and that's why we're here, because I didn't book it, right? I just feel like
I'm gonna go back and look at the deal memo and see who booked it. That's what I want to know.
Don't do that.
I'm going to text you after.
I think for me, this was one of those things. I was like, I know we've met and we've done it, and and I just want it. So here it is. It says a detective interrupts. We're talking about Pam here, so you all know what's going on. And the detective says, I got a key to sign in.
Sure. Emily, wait, do I say sure, Emily, or is that Emily speaking?
No, it's you speaking. Sure.
Oh, but Emily's not. This isn't Emily's line. This is okay. It's a whole line.
This is your, I just want to say this is what happened in the room, everybody. This is what happened.
Sides. I don't know if this is a character name.
I know. I didn't want to.
You could have sent me the sides.
No, that's not fair. I want to do you like you.
I would not have made you cool.
Ever. Look at this. You see it? It's so cool.
Sure. Emily, give me a second. Okay, I got it. Okay, go again.
Well, this is so fun for me.
Start over, please.
Okay. I've got a key to sign in.
Sure, Emily. Give me just a second. What's the case number?
W46809.
Okay, cool. Can we do it again? Can you just pick up the pace and just make a different choice? Okay.
Just make a different choice. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a key to sign in.
Sure, Emily. Just give me a second. What's the case number?
W46809.
Yeah. Awesome. That was so good. That was so good. Thank you so much. It was like awesome. It was so nice to see you. Like, it really just made my day. Thank you.
Thank you. Cut to DaJuan outside. I think I'm gonna book this. Like she said. Sam, thank you so much for playing along with that. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a champion of actors. And everybody, I'm going to get to the bottom of this third element. I am going to get to it because I'm excited about it and I'm excited about you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to make it so bad as an actor that I've done a lot of things that have gone against my better judgment, most notably staying in an acting class that had an extremely abusive teacher way longer than I should have. You know, a teacher that I felt wanted to strip me and pretty much did, but, strip me of who I was and build me up in her image. And, I remember only wanting to do things to please her, just so I could get her approval. And that is and was the death of my acting career at that point in the industry. I never booked with that person. My soul just did not sing with her. And, I've talked about this before over and over again. You all know that. But I'm here to say this: keep your isms. Go with your gut. Acting and working acting coaches, they know this. This should be a collaboration when you're working with somebody. Not only do it my way, but a collaboration. They should bring out the best in you. The best in you. That was the standout. Pick your mouth up off the ground moment for me during this talk with Sam. That was the D12 shot for me. If I'd only heard those words earlier in my career, keep you in your career. I'll say that again. Keep you in your career, DaJuan. So for this D12 shot, I'm saying it to you. Keep you in your acting, in your career. Trust yourself. Trust your gut. If you don't know how to do that yet, work with somebody that celebrates you, but will give you honest feedback about your performance. This will help you grow. You don't need somebody that's going to break you down all the time. This will help you grow so much faster than recreating a past trauma in your life that says you need to continue to be yelled at to make progress. Damned one, that was a little deep. I'll tell you this because I work really hard in my Self-Tape Step Book program to keep your isms, to keep your choices, for you to really understand what you think of the scene, what you think of the character. Not just what I want, your coach. Think about it. What do you want? Because what I want might be different, right? What I bring to the table might be different. We need to collaborate together. And I think coaches, we've gotten away from that at some point, somewhere. It's like my way or the highway. And so I want to be clear. There are handles and actor ticks that do need to go. Those things do need to go, like shifting your weight from side to side or talking all over the place with your hands and saying, this is just the way I talk. We're in a different medium. And so that's different. I do understand you do need some of these things to go. Let's not get those confused. But the wonderfulness that makes you, that all needs to stay. But you have to start with trusting yourself first. trusting yourself enough to keep your isms through the face of teachers and acting schools beating them out of you. And I just want to let you know, if you don't know this by now, that's a song. If you don't know this by now, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you so hard, and I'm so obsessed about our success. Thank you for being a part of my virtual village. Thank you for being a part of the tribe. You matter to me. You just freaking do. And I want to hear your favorite takeaway of this episode too. So send me a DM on Insta, on the gram, at thinkbiggercoaching.com. Nope. That's just Think Bigger Coaching. I snuck that in there for you. All right. I got some great episodes coming up for you, and I hope to see you back. Talk to you soon.